The last man that carried the mantle of revival in my city. And the moment the mantle got to him for like 3 years, then he died. So he didn't hold that mantle for long. So I called the son of the man. And I brought him to my house, served him food. Then I asked him just a few questions. What was your father's routine, spiritual routine on a daily basis? He said, well, this is how, this time he prays, this time he prays, this time I was right. This is how he approached it. It's okay. I doubled it in my own life. And I said, all right, how many years did it take him to crack this city? He said 7. Okay. So I started doing that thing. First year, I was certain that after 7 years, I will see the same impact, the same effect that a man's priesthood produce. I was certain that in 7 years' time, I will see the same impact. Instead of a breakthrough, 7 pastors betrayed me on the 7th year. It means the time you are not with me. It means my calculation, my evaluation of how long I will maintain that sacrifice, that it will produce a repercussion, was wrong. Because you cannot understand cerebrally. You cannot use a mathematical formula to know it. It is something that the government of heaven will have to set up. So when we got to 7 years, instead of a breakthrough, I saw a feedback of betrayal. Then I knew that my calculations were wrong. But I knew the principle I was operating was right. But my calculations were wrong. And you see, it is quite difficult when you don't know how long it will take, especially in a pioneer situation. Just like my brother here, I've seen his commitment in the place of prayer. He's sowing into the spirit. Right now, it doesn't look as if what he's doing is reasonable. Until you do it for 10 years. Then you will see the fruit. I know you are seeing some results, but those ones are encouragement. It's not the real. You are not here. You are not with me. It's not the real thing. No. You are seeing some results, and God is encouraging you. Say, this thing you have started, if you can push it for 10 years, the impact of the spiritual principle you have engaged, you are going to see it literally. Because you are sowing into the spirit now. There is politics in the spirit in terms of how long you need to sow before you get a feedback. That one is not given to you to know. You, what you have done, what you are doing now, I have done it. So you are encouraged. Me, when I started doing that thing, you don't understand. I needed a formula to give me an idea of my expectation within a certain framework of time. And my calculations were wrong. Satan visited on the 7th year. I put myself together and I continued. I began to press. Meanwhile, I didn't know that heaven had put it for 12 years. Because when I said, okay, 7 failed, it's okay, maybe it's 14. So I was now doing 7 times 7. There's no mathematical formula that can be accurate. It was 12. What you are doing today, that you are doing every day, all right? People know you for doing that thing. A day will come, you will do the same thing, not greater, the same thing. And that day, when you do it, it will go all over the world. 12 years of consistent investment in the spirit produced a repercussion. We continued for 80 days. On the 80th day, they brought a crippled lady to the place. Meanwhile, that's not the first cripple I prayed for. 7 years ago, 8 years ago, I started seeing cripples walk when I pray for them. I've even seen a madman come back to sanity and all that, and it happens regularly. The fact that there were miracles didn't make the ministry grow, because I know you are a power man. Power doesn't necessarily make ministry. Even if you raise the dead, pray for dead people and they grow, then they rise up, your ministry will be the way it is. I'm assuring you. On the 80th day of the meeting, they brought that cripple. I prayed for her. She started walking. That was the cripple that was a miracle that went around the globe, and people's hearts were open to our ministry. And when I calculated it, it was 12 years of investment. There is no formula with which you can know if we strike for this long, it will produce this result. The guarantee is that part of the predictable laws that God made available to Noah on the strength of his sacrifice was that seed plus time equals harvest. But that time is a variable, it's X, it's a component X. And that's why if you lose your commitment to faithfulness, you will miss X. Your X will become XY. May the Lord give you understanding. Because you will have the capacity to stand before governors. If you stand before a governor and you lie, it means you didn't fulfill your time in the cave. You can stand before them and they'll look small because your time in the cave was accomplished. God has given you. You are a big man in a small body. You are large in the spirit, and the throne that God has put you is bigger than the throne of the governor of that state. So when the governor comes to you, you can tell him that you slept with people's wives, and God is offended. If you can't say that, the influence you have, you entered into it another way. If he took truth away from you, you become a politician, you become dicey. It's a proof that your feet is not strong. You did not tarry sufficiently in the place of labor in order for you to come out a prince in your territory. I went to minister in Ghana, and as I was ministering in that healing service, about 5 to 7 cripples began to walk. A few from the wheelchairs, a few with crutches, and all kinds of miracles took place. And there were politicians in the place. And they came to me and said, "Can we take you to the president of this country?" And I told them no, that Jesus did not tell me that I will be seeing the president. You know, I don't make any mistake to stand before any political figure without being sent, without giving a message from Jesus. If you do that, it means you are desperate for influence, and God won't allow you speak to any politician all your ministry. I said, that's not why I came. And Jesus did not tell me he was sending me to any politician. The people were disappointed because they knew. How old are you? How old is when old men that will carry you? Don't create what God is not making available. You can go there, they give you some dollars and say, okay, we believe in what you are doing. You know, politicians know how to talk. Those dollars you collect there, that Jesus did not approve you to even meet the person in the first place, that's the end of dollars. There are some dollars you collect, and you will spend naira all your life thereafter, because you accepted some influence which God was not giving you. So Jesus did not tell me that he was taking me to any commissioner to pray or any. So I went back because I was not interested in generating influence for myself. If God, by his own wisdom, because I've seen God, he's told me about some ministers of the gospel in this country. It took 20 years before he orchestrated our connection. And it was not me that did it, was the people that did the connection, not me. It's more honorable for you to be invited to a table than for you to be scheming to enter there. And then they now make you a gate man. Say, okay, you have come, oh, there's a gate there, you man the gate. There is an X, but only God knows it. And it's your faithfulness that will keep you navigating until you strike that X. Meanwhile, God will provide enough encouragement to make you know that he has not abandoned you. But there is an X. When you arrive at that X, you enter into a guaranteed economy of the grace of God. Some things will no longer be prayer points in your life because you have stayed enough to fulfill that circle. The true meaning of sowing and reaping, even though if you apply it on other fronts, it's not theologically wrong, but from the perspective of the New Testament, it's a commitment to sow into the Spirit. When you keep sowing into the Spirit, you keep sowing into the Spirit, you keep sowing into the Spirit, you will reap life. Now, I need to tell you a few things here. There are a few currencies that you must be acquainted with. When the day of return of investment begins to find expression, God will give a few things, one of which is influence. Influence is the currency of greatness. That this thing you are doing now, okay, this thing you are doing, no, don't stand up. Don't stand. This thing you are doing, a time will come where it will produce influence. This thing you are doing, a time will come where God will give you a voice. These are the products that you are going to find at the end of this tunnel. One is influence. I hope you know, someone can be in a village and he's a quiet man in the village until he wins an election to become a local government chairman. Then angels and demons will begin to visit him. The reason is because the spirit world is concerned about influence. The man has entered into a capacity that gives him influence within his locality. Heaven is interested in influence, how he will use that influence, because that influence is currency. It can be used to adorn the kingdom of God or to adorn the kingdom of darkness. Spirits are interested, whether the man knows it or not, whether he was educated or not, whether he was discipled about this matter or not. Just entering that position, that platform, makes him a haunted species. God will be interested in him. Satan will be interested in him. And most of the time, Satan wins that battle in the political front. Then he begins to use the influence to administer a plan that was hatched in the belly of Satan. Influence is one of the currencies that God makes available when a man sows consistently into the spirit. Now, if you enter into influence without God's ordination, that's the sure way for destruction, because you will not have the capacity to withstand the pressures that are going to come at that level. And because you don't have the capacity to consistently refuse to align with that which is flesh, with that which is worldly, so that you can use your influence to advance the frontiers of the kingdom of God, you become a victim of that influence. I've seen a lot of young men that are striving for influence, and it is obvious that they don't have the discipline. They have not been faithful in prosecuting priesthood and sowing consistently into life. And then they are pushing their way using social media to get recognition and get influence. The influence can come, but like I told you, if the local government chairman has not yet been trained to understand how to fast for 40 days and 40 nights and to keep his spirit steady and to hear the voice of God, and he comes into that place of influence, he's 100% going to serve the devil. His undoing will be that influence. He would have been a better man that was better off without that influence. Are you with me? Because he entered into the corridor of influence without adequate preparation. So the thing about sowing into the spirit is that God is going to regulate when he brings you into limelight, and that is safe for you.